After 5 years of trying, finally, landmark legislation has been passed. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hassan. This is Comcast Newsmakers coming to you from the state capitol in Lansing. Our topic today is autism. Joining us now to talk about it is Senate Majority Leader Randy Richardville, a Republican from the 17th District, which represents Monroe, Jackson, and Washtenaw counties. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Laurel. It's good to be here again.
Does it feel good, finally, after trying for so long, to have this very important legislation finally passed, approved, and done?
Oh, yeah. You know, when you run for office, you hope that someday you'll make a difference of some sort. And some days up here, you kind of question whether you are making a difference. There's no question that this legislation will make a difference in somewhere between 10 and 15,000 families' lives here in Michigan.
What exactly is the legislation? What is different now that this has passed than in the past?
Well, in the past, there were two bills that were introduced. I introduced one, and Senator Tupac Hunter, a Democrat from Detroit, introduced the other. We intended for this to be bipartisan legislation from the beginning, but we ran into some difficulties. The Republicans have problems as a general rule with unfunded mandates. So when the government tells you to do something as a business owner, but yet doesn't provide any of the funding, the Democrats sometimes want to solve a problem whether there's money to solve the problem or not. So there was adamant effort to try and bridge this gap and get things done, but it came to a stalemate at the end of the last session. So we put a work group together of Democrats and Republicans, business leaders, as well as those that perform some of the treatments with autism. We had hearings across the state at the Detroit Medical Center, Hope Network over in the Grand Rapids area, Eastern Michigan's Autism Center, the University of Michigan's Autism Center, and we listened to what people had to say about their experiences with autism. There is a behavioral treatment out there called ABA, which is Applied Behavioral Analysis. And we know that that will help, especially younger autistic children, to be able to be mainstreamed. A very large percentage of those that are on the autism spectrum can be put right back into a normal life, normal school, etc., if they have this treatment. And yet businesses, for the most part, couldn't provide that because it was expensive. So that's what we put together, was a plan to say, how can we solve this problem and help these families without burdening the businesses with the cost? And so we did some work and found out Dave Meter, who's the chief financial officer at DTE Energy, came up with some studies, some information from Harvard University that says that the average autistic child costs society about $3.7 million during a lifetime. So our argument was, hey, if government's going to be the one that's going to save the money in terms of the Department of Human Services, the Department of Community Health, or the school systems, why isn't the government the one that pays for this unfunded mandate? We'll fund the mandate, and then those businesses that provide this coverage for these families can be reimbursed for that coverage. So
now if you need or are seeking autism coverage for your child in the state of Michigan, most likely your insurance company will cover the cost.
Most likely your business, the business where you work, will have an insurance company that will cover the cost, yes. But it'll be funded through Medicaid dollars in the Michigan budget. So basically we're taking taxpayer dollars and saying we're going to get a good return on this investment. We're going to invest money into autism coverage, which will reduce the costs on the government down the road, and it'll be a good taxpayer return for your dollar, which is some of the things that the more conservative people liked. At the same time, we're going to provide opportunities for these families to get the kind of treatment that can mainstream their children again.
Very quickly, you only have a little bit of time left. How do we compare now to other states in the country?
Well, we're about halfway through. I think about 25, 26 other states have it, but those states that don't have it had the same problem with we did. So we got a phone call from Alaska the other day saying, hey, this Senate Bill 981, we think that might help us to solve our problem in Alaska. So Michigan's actually setting the example for other states.
Great to see Michigan being a leader. I know we're not always at the bottom. Sometimes we actually lead the way. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Today's Comcast Newsmaker was Senate Majority Leader Randy Richardville, a Republican from the 17th District.